Labor leader Phil Goff has responded to taunts from the Prime Minister to show me the money. Goff has faced increasing pressure to reveal how he'll pay for Labor's promises, and today he came up with some numbers. Political editor Duncan Garner is at Parliament. Duncan.
Yeah, good evening, Michael. Well, Phil Goff finally came up with his plan today, and he has conceded that Labor will borrow about $4 billion more than National over that first 4 years. John Key says that Goff's numbers are a shambles, and he's gone through them and says actually the borrowing probably is about $11 billion.
Phil Goff spent the morning in a kindergarten where he didn't face too many tough questions. Then he arrived with a reply to John Key's taunt, "Show me the money."
Hi, I'm not Jerry Maguire, but I am here to show you the money.
But it wasn't as good, and it was 2 days too late, after being goaded, almost crushed by the Prime Minister over his spending promises on Wednesday.
Show me the money!
So Goff now concedes Labor will borrow $4 billion more than National over 4 years because it won't sell assets. It's pledging, like National, to return to surplus by 2014-15, and Labor would pay off net debt earlier because of its capital gains tax.
There will be extra short-term borrowing because we're not selling the assets to do what John Key says he's doing, which is to buy the school buildings and hospitals.
Quite frankly, I think they're a shambles, and it's embarrassing for Phil Goff.
But National's also crunched Labor's numbers and claims it will borrow about $10 or $11 billion, not $4, because it's not including an extra $6 to $7 billion to restart contributions to the New Zealand Super Fund. National says it's not accounted for properly in Labor's plan. Labor says that's because the borrowing is offset by the value of the asset. John Key says it's like a homeowner not including his mortgage as debt.
He's saying if you have a mortgage against your home, that doesn't count, and the day you buy the house, you should book the profits of what you think you might be able to sell the house for sometime in the never.
So Labor tried to explain its position on borrowing for the Super Fund.
They've tried to ping us for the amount that we put into the Super Fund, and then they've ignored the asset that it purchases.
But Labor also had a swipe at National's numbers too, saying it has banked the money from asset sales, but not forgone the revenue from lost dividends.
Despite it standing out like dog's balls that you can't sell an asset and pretend that you're still going to get the whole of the revenue.
So Labor showed Key the money today. It was an explanation, but it wasn't entirely convincing.
And Michael, there is a saying in politics, it's a bit of an old one, that it goes like this: explaining is losing. I think that's what you've seen certainly from Phil Goff since Wednesday, since the middle of this week. John Key set the terms of this debate around spending, and Phil Goff fell into the gap. Labor has simply been just far too slow to bring out its numbers. It's looked too defensive, and certainly on the defensive over it. There has been plenty of warnings that this is how National would play it. They have for days and days and days now sent out releases questioning Labor about this, and then that killer hit on Wednesday, where John Key said to Phil Goff, "Show me the money," as you saw in that story there, and they've simply taken too long. This should have come out last week at the start of the campaign. I said last week that I thought Labor won that very first week. I thought they had some really good momentum going in to this week, but they've lost a lot of that. National has regained the momentum in this campaign. I used the word crushed in there in that story, that Key had crushed Goff on this. You could actually go further and say he's crucified him politically over this. Michael.
Duncan, thank you.
John Key didn't really believe it.